the AODA regulations so that we will accommodate people who use mobility devices. There will be barrier-free movement through our stations. We accommodate people with different types of impairment, and we provide specialized service for people with more severe physical disabilities. We have minimum return on investment standards for requested expenditures on new service, and these look at the gross operating cost, the revenue that the new service would attract, the net cost, and a measure which we call new riders gain per net operating dollar spent, and a request for new service must meet this minimum threshold to be eligible for a trial implementation. We have productivity standards that are used that use the industry measure of boardings per service hour. Our minimum productivity threshold is 15 boardings per hour. It's less in more isolated areas where there are not alternative services available, and it can be less when there are policy objectives which the board approves to pursue. We have standards that govern when we are asked to change or expand a route, and that focuses on the effect on customers' travel time broken down into all of the individual components of a trip: walking, wait time, in-vehicle transfers, and these are weighted by the number of people affected, how people perceive it, so that we have to have a net positive outcome for customers. You'll be interested to know that our research shows that customers consider a minute of waiting for a bus to be the same as a minute and a half of riding in a bus, or a minute of walking perceived to be equal to 2.5 minutes of riding, and a transfer equal to 10 minutes of riding. We have standards and rules that govern express services. We look for routes with a high proportion of long-distance trip, big concentrations at major stops, and again, the net effect in terms of customer minutes must be positive for all affected users. When we are asked to put additional periods of service on a route, we are measuring productivity using the boardings per hour I mentioned earlier. The same is true when we're asked to start service earlier or finish it later. We're always looking at the productivity which will be achieved by making the requested change. We have standards that govern the maximum waiting times: 30 minutes for bus and streetcar, 5 minutes for subway. And probably our most talked about and referred to standard is the one that governs onboard crowding, which determines when we increase service or take service away. It is intended to ensure there is not overcrowding or uncomfortable conditions. These are the peak period crowding standards, and they look like this. So on a bus, in the peak period, we expect this level of crowding, but no more, and the lower one shows an articulated bus. These standards are intended to prevent overcrowding and to prevent customer discomfort. The standards we use have been cited as international best